Well, the leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, and President Hassan Rouhani have both hailed the nuclear deal clenched between Iran and the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, plus Germany, in Geneva. Ayatollah Khamenei thanked the Iranian negotiating team, saying they have done a praiseworthy job. The leader described the Geneva deal as a success and called on the Iranian negotiators to resist any excessive demand in the future. Meanwhile, President Rouhani has said that under the deal, Iran can continue to enrich uranium on its soil. The president also said the nuclear deal with the P5+1 will see the sanctions against Iran lifted step by step. Rouhani noted that if the P5+1 group lives up to its obligations, Iran will also abide by the terms of the agreement.
If the P5+1 group thoroughly implements this agreement, Iran will implement it too. And as a result, comprehensive final talks will begin. What we have achieved has been an initial nuclear deal, and we are happy that after 10 years, an agreement has been reached at this level.
Well, to discuss that deal a bit further, I joined Mr. Hamid Reza Emadi, who is Press TV's newsroom director, and he's joining us right here in the studios here in Tehran. Mr. Emadi, thanks a lot for joining us. Now, there's been some confusion in the media. A lot of officials from the West have been saying things about, for example, enrichment rights in the deal. Can you just clarify for us what exactly the deal says?
Well, John Kerry says that the U.S. Secretary of State, he says that the deal does not clearly mention Iran's right to enrich uranium. But here's the deal, and I have a copy of the joint plan of action. It says Iran announces that it will not enrich uranium over 5% for the duration of the 6 months. So it means Iran has the right to enrich uranium below 5%. That is what the deal clearly says. And here is the White House statement. It says Iran has agreed to halt all uranium enrichment above 5%. That means, again, this is what the White House says, Iran has the right to enrich uranium below 5%. So Iran's right to uranium enrichment has basically been recognized and respected. So this is a huge victory, diplomatic victory for Iran. For the past 10 years, the other party was not willing to recognize and respect Iran's right to enrich uranium. And over the past few days, because Iran says that under the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, it has every right to enrich uranium. Over the past few days, some Western officials have been talking about the fact that NPT does not clearly mention the signatory's right to enrich uranium. Hans Blix, the former IAEA chief, said 2 days ago, as well as in other interviews over the past few years, that under the NPT, the signatories have the right to enrich uranium. So under the NPT, Iran has that right. Under this deal, Iran has that right. Iran's right to enrich uranium has been recognized. The second thing that Iran was looking for during the negotiations was the lifting of the sanctions. Iran managed to get some easing of sanctions, so Iran got the easing of sanctions, not very extensive easing of the sanctions, but the limited one. Iran got that, but the main victory was on the enrichment front. Iran got what it wanted. Now, here is the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's angry reaction. He says, this is a bad deal. It grants Iran exactly what it wanted, both a significant easing in sanctions and preservation of the most significant parts of its nuclear program. So Israelis are angry. That shows something has happened in favor of Iran, a diplomatic victory for Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu has again said it was a historic mistake on the part of the P5+1. He says Iran got the deal of the century. The winners of this game, Iran and the P5+1, the loser is Israel. Once again, Israel was defeated first on Syria just a few months back, and now on Iran.
We just have under a minute left, Mr. Emadi. Why then would John Kerry lie so blatantly about this issue? Because
he's scared of Israel. You know, the United States wants to appease Israel, wants to tell the Israelis that your concerns have been taken into consideration. Just remember, Israel has hundreds of nuclear warheads, and nobody inspects Israel's nuclear arsenal. Israel is technically at war with all regional countries. Nobody inspects Israel's nuclear arsenal. That doesn't make any sense. So the Americans are telling the Israelis that your concerns have been taken into consideration. Well, in reality, they did not do what the Israelis asked them to do. So the Americans have realized, the Westerners have realized that supporting Israel is no longer in their best interest.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now, but of course we do appreciate your insight. That was Mr. Hamid Reza Emadi, Press TV's Newsroom Director.
Thank you for having me.
Speaking to us live right here in Tehran.